Hello everyone. Today I'll be presenting on the bilateral transfer asymmetry of visuomotor skill learning in a workspace that requires midline crossing among left-handed individuals. I'll begin by explaining what bilateral transfer is. It's basically a phenomenon that occurs when a learned behavior transfers from one effector or a group of effectors to another. The strength of transfer for some movement parameters differs from one hand to the other, and this is a concept known as the asymmetry of transfer. According to the dynamic dominance model, the asymmetry depends on the information each arm controller can have access to. For instance, it's been documented that the dominant hand accesses directional information, whereas the non-dominant hand accesses information about final movement position. The purpose of the study was to see if the dynamic dominance model was consistent for left-handed individuals who were practicing a visuomotor task in a workspace that requires midline crossing. In order to test this, we recruited 32 left-handed young adults with normal to corrected vision and were randomly assigned to one of two groups, the bilateral transfer group and the retention groups. Now, for the experimental condition, the order of the letters as shown in this figure represents the hand used during baseline, training, and post-test respectively. So for instance, an RLR group represents the right hand used for the baseline testing, the left hand used for the training, and the right hand for post-testing. Now, the task involves drawing a point-to-point movement with a visual feedback of the trace of the pen rotated at a 45-degree angle on the monitor. So in this experimental setup, you can see the monitor in front of the participants, which is giving the visual feedback of whatever was happening on the motor workspace, which was a tablet, and the stylus given to them. Now, we decided to use the 5% peak velocity criterion of the velocity profile to determine our movement segments from the recording. And we processed our recordings with a custom-made program in MATLAB. And the position of the signals were dual-pass filtered with a cutoff frequency of 16 Hertz. For data analysis, we use a 4x2 mix ANOVA design with group as between factors and test time as within factors. We were interested in four main movement parameters: movement time, path length or trajectory length, normalized jerk, and endpoint error. For results, when we looked at path length, we could see that there was no bilateral transfer for path length. However, there was some adaptation in the retention group that trained with their right hand. For movement time, there was bilateral transfer for the right hand after training the left hand. However, there was retention for the two groups or retention groups, which showed adaptation. We moved to normalized jerk. We saw a similar pattern as shown in the path length. There was no bilateral transfer. However, there was some adaptation to the task for the right hand group or the retention group that trained with their right hand. And for endpoint error, was a similar pattern, also no bilateral transfer, but we could observe some adaptation for the two groups or retention groups. What is the implication of this result? First, we provide a summary. All variables of movement with non-dominant hand adapted to the visuomotor task during retention, and also timing control or movement time transferred from the dominant hand to the non-dominant hand. In contrast, trajectory control failed to show significant benefits of transfer. So, what does this mean for the dynamic dominance model? There was asymmetric pattern of bilateral transfer for the workspace we observed, but our findings for left-handed individuals did not seem to unequivocally support the dynamic dominance model. Thank you.